Hello and welcome to Fresno American Indian Health Project. This is the final plant talk in our 2024 plant talk series, and this one is on redbud. Botanical name for redbud, or the scientific name, is Cercis occidentalis. It is also known as western redbud or just redbud. So if you've never seen any redbud, some of the characteristics are, it is classified as a shrub, and most of them usually kind of create like this dome shape as they grow. They can get up to 10 to 20 feet tall and about 10 to 15 feet wide. As they start, you'll see them as little babies. They get, like little 4-foot small rounded shrub babies, and as they get bigger, they'll get taller and bigger. As you can see on the picture, there's this is the flower, which is more of a pinkish color, and you can also kind of see the seed pod here in the photo. They do go dormant. Right now we are going into dormancy season with many of the plants. A lot of plants go winter dormant, which means that in the fall they turn their colors from green. They typically have green leaves, and so as the fall season comes in, they transition their color into a fading yellow, kind of watery yellow color on the leaves until eventually the leaves just fall off. As I said, the flowers are kind of like a pinkish red color that usually come out in the spring. Now, sometimes, like right now, I actually took this photo probably about 3 weeks ago. So sometimes we have what's kind of known as false spring, and it warms up enough where the plants get confused and they think it's springtime. So sometimes they can have an end of summer bloom as well. They're great for many things, which we will get into now. They do have a slight fragrance on them as well. They smell really nice. In the springtime, I like to gather, I always like to do kind of a wildflower bundle, and I always include the redbud in my flower bouquets because of the beautiful color and the fact that if you leave them in the vase and give them enough water, they will actually start shooting out their little baby leaves, which are so adorable. They are great accents to the little bouquet, and they look like little heart-shaped flowers or leaves that have come out on the flowers. So that's kind of a cool thing. So we will talk about the propagation. Propagation on the redbuds can be a bit difficult. I am still currently trying to master. But they do like a hot treatment, like a scarification process. So the seeds that I will show you in the next slide, they went under a hot water treatment and soaked in that hot water for about 2 days. Each day I freshened the hot water. And then after that, they went into some damp peat moss. I mixed them in the peat moss, put them in a Ziploc bag, and I aerated it weekly and added water as needed. And then they went in the refrigerator for 3 months. And you do have to tend to them in the refrigerator. You want to make sure that peat moss stays moist and that they're getting aeration. You wouldn't want to just zip them, close them, and forget about them because they will mold and such. The other way, which we will show you today, is flash fire. Many people freak out when a fire comes through and they fear that they're not, the land is dead and they're not going to get the plants back, but that's not necessarily true. Many California native plants benefit from fire treatment, and us native culture know we did actively use fire in our tending of the land and stuff. So when a fire comes through, many times what it does is it kickstarts the seed. So the fire will come through and it'll do what it needs to the seed for the seed to get going. And so that following spring, you'll see a lot of sprouts. This year we had a fire kind of back towards Pine Flat. I forget what they named it, but it was in the scar of the rough fire. And so you can see so many species coming back. There's redbud coming back. A lot of the sycamores and some of the oaks trees are all coming back, and a lot of the manzanita, they do love hot water treatment and fire as well. So you will be able to kind of reenact that. And then you can see I just checked the garden today December 9th, and we have baby starts. So the redbud is percolating and it is coming up. As you can see on the pictures, some of the sprouts are starting to come up. So in a few more weeks, another month or so, then we'll be potting them up into plants and hopefully get them out on a lot of the lands that I tend to. I help out at the Woodward Park Garden, so some of the redbud will go out there. And then I'm also partnered with the San Joaquin River Conservancy. So they have many properties that are, the properties that are open are allowed public access, and you are allowed to go gather and tend to the plants without really having any problems. So there are areas that we can do that, and that we will be putting plants back into the land and helping with that land stewardship. So today we will be doing a fire treatment on the redbud. I do recommend, if you are new to seeds, I recommend trying the hot water treatment first before moving on to fire. I would definitely get some experience under your belt before trying fire at home. So what we are going to do is, last night I made this flat, and since we are doing redbud, I made it out of the redbud sticks. And then I lined it with foil, and then I have my soil mixture that I make down, and then we are going to put the seeds down, and then we will lay some of these. I use pine needles, and then I also brought my shavings from my redbud, so I thought that was appropriate. So we will be putting the seeds down, putting that, and then we will be lighting the fire and hoping to basically strip the membrane and help percolate the seeds and help them to get started sprouting. After this, I will, instead of putting it in the refrigerator like we do with the hot water treatment, I will most likely leave it out here in the elements, so that way it gets more of a natural wintering over, and I'll just bring it inside during the rain so that way it doesn't get flooded or overwatered, because that can be a concern as well. Okay, so we have our fire lit, and like I said, we're just trying to kind of help the seeds break open into their shell. They're covered by a hard membrane, so that's what the hot water does. It strips the membrane, and just like the fire, it'll strip that membrane and help it sprout probably in a few weeks. It'll probably winter over, and then we'll get some sprouts in the spring. Okay, welcome back to the offices. Now that we have covered some of the propagation techniques, now we will kind of cover some of the uses. As many of you are most likely familiar, redbud is a basket material or basket weaving plant. We love it because of its beautiful red color. So I chose December to do this plant talk because it is kind of the start of gathering season. As the cold times come in, the redbud reddens up and it's perfect for gathering. So these are a couple of coils that I made last year, and you can see from the photo above that these are the coils that I've made this year. And as you can see in this picture, this is a newborn baby basket. It's a pasuk. It was made by Devin Jones and then her mom, Phyllis Hunter. And then Kim Taylor also made the yarn belt that you see in the photo. So as you can see in the picture, all the red accents within the basket, those are the redbud. So we use them for weaving. They also make an excellent landscape plant. I know many people here in the Central Valley are switching from more of a they're switching to more of a native plant landscape and yard work. There are so many great benefits to planting native plants. Not only do they have amazing uses for us native people, but they also help maintain the balance of our ecosystem and help feed all of our wildlife and animals. They also conserve water. Planting native plants is a huge benefit to the land that you're in, because they are already adapted and they're already adapted to the environment, so that so they tend to conserve more water. Throughout the Central Valley, you see a lot of Mediterranean plants and palm trees and such like that, and they take up a lot of water. They're not really conducive to the environment. You know, they do confuse the animals. They're not used to these kinds of plants. They're used to more their historical landscape. So it is super important that we do plant native plants and continue increasing the biodiversity of our area, because California is one of the amazing, most richest landscapes. We have so many rare species here that you cannot find in anywhere else in the world. So maintaining that biodiversity is super important. And they're also great for soil stabilization. So they help with erosion control, they help stabilize the banks. I see some on the highways, you can see them on the highways. They plant them there so that the banks don't collapse. So they're a vital part of our ecosystem. So they can be deer resistant. I say they can be because there is really no such thing as a deer resistant plant. If the deer are hungry enough, they will eat it. But this is one of the plants that they would stay away from if there were other food sources available. So they tend to just leave this one alone. And then as you can see in these photos, they do put off some really nice fall and late season color. So that's when the leaves kind of turn to yellow, and as I stated before, these photos were just taken a few weeks ago, and so the bush was very bright and vibrant. It was losing its leaves and flowering all at the same time, so it was very gorgeous. A few companion plants that you can plant with the redbud. Of course, deer grass is always a great one. Elderberry goes really well, but don't limit yourself to just those two. Bush anemone, silk tassel, I mean, even figs grow really nice. Sycamores, you can even do like the blue-eyed grass. There are many things that are companion plants with the redbud, and if you ever spend some time out in the land, you can kind of see what plants grow near them. It's very beautiful to see them all growing with each other and helping each other. So I talked about some of the wildlife, but these are kind of some specific animals that the redbud does help thrive. Among them are the hummingbirds, birds, bees, caterpillars, butterflies, even bats. They all utilize the redbud in some way, shape, or form, either food or shelter. It is a vital plant. We do need to maintain it and keep that ecosystem thriving. A fun fact, I always try to enlighten everybody on other species that fall within those families. So a fun fact for the Cercis family, there are no other Cercis species that are native to California. Though there are some that are non-native, they do have the East Coast redbud, which is a Cercis species. But this Cercis occidentalis is the only one that is native to here in California. I hope you guys enjoyed this year's season and look forward to next year's. I am still contemplating which plants, but I have a feeling that we will probably do sages. There are so many different types of sages, so I think that next year's plant talks will probably center around the different types of salvia species that we have here in California. So I hope everyone has a happy holidays and a good restful winter, and I will see you all next time and next year. You should push me.
No.
That would be funny.
More information on the San Joaquin River Conservancy and other ethical ways of gathering in the description, as well as our garden page on our website. And please like, subscribe, follow us on social media and YouTube. For 2025, it's got a lot more coming.